All natural and organic without any additives. Physician for the people.
Physician for the People is a live public policy program dedicated to the issues of the day. The Physician for the People is inside each one of us. The endocannabinoid system is, in fact, the wellness, the healing. It comes from inside, and the fitness of that is what we're here to serve. Some say when you get high, it's something unreal. But the way I've turned it, the way I've heard it, the way my guru told me to tell you, that high feeling is always with us inside. It's your higher self. And what I'm here to say, the cannabis community are the ones who found this out themselves. The cannabis community themselves have found out that inside they have acceptance, gratitude, humility, dignity, liberation, trust, faith, and most of all, authenticity. Because cannabis reveals self to self. Can you imagine a community of people being completely authentic? A country that is so sick like the United States today, these leaders are waiting in the cannabis community. And I'm telling you, this country needs the leaders that is the cannabis community. And everyone right now, if you can, say an Om, take a hit, take a puff, think about getting high. If we all do it at the same time, there is a Maharishi effect. Did you know this? The world getting high at the same time is like holding a holy Sabbath. Everyone can draw it in if you hold that intention. So if you see something you love, share. If you see someone who needs you, care. If there's something else that you want, write it down. Right? Who doesn't want to be high? If you get high, share it. You are here to share. You are here to care. Because cannabis is the way. I'm telling you, don't deny it. It's hiding in plain sight. She is here.
There has never been a medical reason for criminalizing marijuana. Marijuana was criminalized because it was associated with dangerous classes, poor people. Marijuana was criminalized because it was associated with poor people, dangerous classes. First criminalization of marijuana was in the Southwest. It was in New Mexico, later Utah, and so on, and it was specifically targeted against Mexico. Marijuana didn't get criminalized in the United States until shortly after Prohibition ended. After Prohibition ended, we had this huge bureau of narcotics and had to do something. So they discovered marijuana is going to do all kind of horrible things to you. The Senate testimony about this is mind-boggling. They did have a representative of the American Medical Association who said, we don't have any medical evidence about this. He was shut up, denounced, rid of him right away. Then they found somebody else, a pharmacologist, a guy teaching at Temple University, who was doing experiments with marijuana and dogs. They brought this guy in. He testified that when he gave marijuana to dogs, they went insane. Marijuana to dogs, they went insane. They do all kind of things. Some senators asked him, the guy, well, have you ever tried marijuana on humans? So he said, yeah, I tried it on myself. And he said, well, what happened? He said, I turned into a vulture. started flying around the room. My God, this stuff is terrible. It makes people insane. And marijuana, it was declared by Congress that marijuana makes people insane. But then something happened. It turned out that lawyers, defense lawyers, got the idea and used this for an insanity defense. So if a guy was found, who killed 3 cops, his lawyer would say, well, he had marijuana before, so he was insane, so he can't do anything. And people were getting off on charges, like cop killing, for example, on the claim that they had marijuana. So all of a sudden it was discovered that marijuana doesn't make you insane. Congress decided, sorry, it doesn't make you insane because we want to wipe that out. The next idea was marijuana is an entry drug. It's a drug you take and then you go on to something else. Well, there was never any evidence for that. But that was decided. And then in the early 50s, something else happened. Marijuana is being brought in here by red Chinese to poison the American population and destroy us. So therefore, we got to stop marijuana. And it kind of goes on like this. Actually, the peak of marijuana use was, as I said, in the 70s. But that was rich kids, so you don't throw them in jail. And then it got seriously criminalized. You really throw people in jail for it when it was poor people. There has never been a medical reason for criminalizing marijuana. Marijuana was criminalized because it was associated with poor people, dangerous classes.
Is that to an extraordinary extent, by comparative standards, the United States is a business-run society, which means that human rights are subordinated to the overwhelming, overriding need of profit for investors. Decisions are placed in the hands of unaccountable private tyrannies, which means that even if formal democratic practices exist as they do, they're of peripheral significance. The government, in fact, is, as John Dewey called it 50 or 60 years ago, the shadow cast by business over society, so that modifications in the shadow are not going to change the substance. These are truisms throughout most of American history, including American working class history, until quite recently, until the 1950s, in fact. And it also means that social policy is geared to the transfer of wealth and power to those who already have it, and deliberately.
The United States, basically a business-run society. And I'll ask you, Frank. Frank, do you think that the United States as a government is run as a business?
Yes. For profit.
It's for profit. The business for profit.
It's for profit.
Yeah.
Profit can be power or money.
Right. Gino, is that true?
Oh yeah, it's run as a business. Yeah, definitely.
Like,
It's all about. But it's also run like the mob.
Have the most. And then when it's time to help someone who got you into that giant wallet, you don't help them back either.
Now, what is it that gets people to do that? Is it because we are greedy, or is it because we're trying just to fit in? Greed. Right? That's it. It's greed. Okay. I can get with that. Deep down inside, I wonder what are people made of? If we actually, inside, are we good, or if we're inside that we're like any way we can go, And deep down inside, Frank, you work with kids, and it's sort of a scary idea that you're around them at times, but you see them. When we come into the world, are we greedy, or do we learn greed?
I don't know. I thought you were going to ask me if we were good.
No, I know you're not good. I've seen where you live.
I think we come into the world greedy because we come into the world as animals, and animals are greedy.
Wow, that's disturbing. So you bit your mom's tit? You were really that greedy? I mean, really, if you were greedy,
until I was full.
No, sharks are greedy. They will bite. They will actually claw their way out of their mom's uterus because they're hungry. They'll go into a frenzy inside the mom if they smell the blood. For real. That's greedy. No, Chomsky says if people were really greedy, parents would take their kids' food. Like you really would take candy from a baby. Somehow we learned. That's what I'm saying. We are greedy. That would be stupid to say that people aren't greedy. Because I seen Gino over there. He thrives on that. Look at him. Look at him. He's like
it's all part of the business. You know what I mean?
It's scary. It's it's coming. You don't plan for anything. You're going to be busy.
It's you're born into the family, and that's what it's
Right.
about.
See, the idea here is I put them back together, and Gino knows how to take them apart. When you put them together, two people like us, it's a good business. Right? The thing that strikes me is that, right, what physicians know for 100 years is that people have an instinct to get along. It's called the herd instinct, right? That's what Freud was really talking about. Now, when the leadership and the structure of the society is set up to get you to compete with each other, we start taking on greed is good. And we start internalizing all this stuff and making a culture out of it. And that's tough on people. That's hard on us.
Greed is good.
Yeah, we have to live in a culture where greed is good. Right? That's the internalization. It's not, and to be good and to get ahead, somehow you have to deal with that. Right? That's just real politics. That's not like, I don't think that's somehow that compromise, a paradox. It's in people, and yet they have to learn it to really get along. I've seen people who don't have hyper-capitalism. For real.
You can be greedy and get along.
Okay, how?
Get along with people who share your interests. We can be greedy together.
I
We
like
get
that.
along great.
No, I like that. Now, how would that look like? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That's right. We're all at the race for the bottom. How would we get along with what we got? We got to coexist. So what does that look like?
Free market.
I like where you're going with this. There's nothing wrong with that.
After a while, though, you lose your point or your focus because somebody is still going to want something bigger than the other, and the competition is going to start getting worse and worse.
Right.
Where that's going to decay again.
What I hear you saying is it's the transition from capitalism to hyper-capitalism, right? There's nothing wrong with, like, what I see in the DC community right now with cannabis. The gifting economy is brilliant. You go to these pop-up events, people are craft growing. They're putting together incredible products. They're sharing them. They're doing it in a way that doesn't involve feeding the tax man. They're feeding their families. I think it's amazing. For real, I think it's amazing. The good that's going on. And not only is the medicine going to the people who are making it, it's staying in the community. It's not a big investment-based kind of thing. And that blows my mind. It's a libertarian paradise. And where are the real libertarians? Rand Paul's getting beat up in his backyard by his neighbor, right? The politicians don't want to touch this. That's the point. Right? You got me.
They tried to stop it by keeping their hands off it, and in doing so, they made it better than it ever could have been.
Better than it ever could be. Yes. That's what I want the world to know is that here you have a real free market in cannabis here. You really do. And it's a great thing, and we should have it. And that's what I wanted to talk about. The money that is available here is not about like selling the weed. That's fucking small potatoes. It's about the weed tourism. It's about destination weddings. Forbes magazine wrote last year, the biggest thing in Oregon, destination wedding, weed weddings, right? We got the best monuments out here, right? Weed tourism. I went to Amsterdam in 2003. This guy had 3 weed tourism business. Unbelievable.
So guys, so people are coming here. People are coming to DC
Right.
to get married.
Look at in DC
because of the weed.
The weed.
Yeah.
In DC, it's legal to gift your weed. So if you have someone stage your house like a weed B&B, it's money,
Yeah.
right? You go to drive someone around, like a weed taxi. I follow someone cannabis. You follow these guys? They're good. Right.
I heard that they have the Uber Herb,
Uber-
something like that.
Right, we should be doing Duber right now. Duber. That's what it's for.
Hey, you know what?
Get the people some money, right? Free market for real. All it takes is people to know it's possible. And what you see here in DC, it is possible.
From what you're telling me, maybe the family ought to think about relocating from Jersey, New York, down to DC.
Clearly
Okay, let me
defined
do
in
the
the U.S.
slides.
Code.
When Johnson comes out, we'll go, we're gonna cut.
It's defined
Oh.
as the
We're done.
resource
Yeah, then we
to
go to the next
coercion
segment. This goes to
or
the next segment.
violence against
Sorry.
civilian population in order to achieve
That was great, guys.
political,
That was great.
religious, or other ends. By
You,
that definition,
talk
it
so
would be impossible not to accept that the United States is a terrorist state. In fact, one of the leading terrorist states by that definition, by our own definition. In fact, we even have a name for it. It's called low-intensity warfare. And there's plenty of examples of it.
If we're serious about the question of terror, if we're serious about the question of violence, we have to recognize that
We're offering the world a stark choice. You're on our side or you're destroyed.
If we're serious about the question of terror, if we're serious about the question of violence, we have to recognize that
If there is a massive attack which will kill mostly Afghans, who millions of them are barely out the edge of survival now, they will be answering the prayers of bin Laden and his network and falling into a diabolical trap if they decide to undertake a massive assault which will mostly slaughter innocent victims and victims of the Taliban.
if we're serious about the question of terror, if we're serious about the question of violence, we have to recognize that
Terrorism has a clear definition. It's clearly defined in the U.S. Code as the resort to coercion or violence against a civilian population in order to achieve political, religious, or other ends. By that definition, it would be impossible not to accept that the United States is a terrorist state. In fact, one of the leading terrorist states by that definition, by our own definition. In fact, we even have a name for it. It's called low-intensity warfare.
if we're serious about the question of terror, if we're serious about the question of violence, we have to recognize that
We're offering the world a stark choice. You're on our side or you're destroyed.
if we're serious about the question of terror, if we're serious about the question of violence, we have to recognize that
That the United States is a terrorist state. In fact, one of the leading terrorist states by that definition, by our own definition. In fact, we even have a name for it. It's called low-intensity warfare, which is a low-intensity conflict, which is actually official military doctrine. And there's plenty of examples of it. Apart from the horrible fate of the people involved, it will also lead to a threat to U.S. control of the world's oil supplies, which will never be tolerated. And at this point, we're offering indescribable global war. We're offering the world a stark choice. You're on our side or you're destroyed.
God. Right? Once again, it's just depressing. Sometimes it's just depressing figuring out what's for real. Where's Trump this week? Right? He just-
It's in
No,
Korea.
no,
Korea.
yeah, he's like causing trouble in the East.
Talking trash.
He's talking trash. Did you hear about this one? When he went into Japan, right? He didn't want to eat the sushi, and he ordered it out from McDonald's. For real. No, for real.
That's patriotism.
I thought it was sort of cool. Yeah,
McDonald's is
a little bit. I was torn on that one a little bit.
Yeah, but
He drives a Cadillac because it's American.
A little
He
bit.
eats McDonald's.
It's a little
Yeah,
It's
but
American.
Right. He doesn't want to eat the sushi. He wants to eat your Big Mac. And that's like going to International House of Pancakes and ordering the veal parmesan.
But
Right?
there-
You don't go for the pancake house and get the veal.
Right,
You don't go to
right.
China. You don't go to Japan and you get, the double mix.
Ramen.
Ramen. Right, you get the ramen.
But
But you're in
there's a-
Japan.
the only thing is there's a story going around that he sends Secret Service agents out to McDonald's because he doesn't like the way the White House
I've read
fixes
that.
their
No,
food.
he's on a
Yeah.
McDonald's kick.
So
Right? Everybody.
If I was Trump, I'd send somebody to get my food too, because if I showed up and ordered it,
I would
they'd
spit in his
probably
food.
spit in it, right?
Oh, heck
Exactly.
yeah.
I'd be like,
Everybody
go
wants
get
to.
it, don't tell
Everyone's
me who
waiting to
it's for.
spit in his food. Nobody wants to spit in anyone's food more
well,
than the president.
Clinton used to send out for McDonald's.
Yeah, but
all
you
the
know what
time.
people are putting in that, like jizz-burgers. It's like, oh.
Oh.
Listen, I am so sorry. But the internet, you can say anything you want. Listen, right? The thing I gotta get straight with, right? How is it that the United States is the boss of the world, right? What is it? Well, how is it? Did we earn it? How do you explain it? Is it something that is just it landed in our lap after World War II because everybody else was fucking done, and now we don't want to give it up? Doesn't it feel like
No, maybe it was.
What? Yeah.
Maybe, first of all, we did earn it in a way because we
Okay.
have the biggest military. We export the most culture,
Oh,
and we kind of came in World War II and just cleaned
half-
up and saved
Oh, that's true.
everybody's
Half
ass,
of the
so-
material wealth of the planet was under the United States flag, no question. Right, no question. Like all the oil of the Middle East, absolutely.
And Disneyland is around the world. There's no Ukrainian theme parks
No, that's
in
true.
America.
American English is the default second language of the world. 10% of the whole world speaks American English. Right? That's not wrong. I mean, there's something to that. But the idea that we can tell North Korea and how to run their country and that we could start a nuclear war over I don't know what. I really don't know why I would, as I'm paying money to have a bomb go off so bad that it affect my children forever. My kids.
Is that
Forget about
happening?
them. Yeah, are they the enemy?
Are we starting? Is that
I mean, that's what Trump is over there in China doing, talking about North Korea. And so I'm asking, how is it that I am paying for this country to be the boss of the world? Because it's my taxes, and it's your taxes. Don't we have to agree on this somehow?
there's
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, if basically they're going to use the taxes for whatever they want, and being the boss of the world is one of them, and you know, and the majority of people, or a good amount of the people, don't want it, isn't that basically taxation without representation?
Which is D.C.
Pretty much.
It makes me sad, Miss Lexi. It does. It does.
America has a dick swinging complex.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
You're right.
Ah,
It's a dick swinging thing. It
that's
is.
what George Carlin said.
It's a harder,
It's
stronger,
all
longer.
about. It's this big contest to see who's got the biggest prick.
Ugh. That's
people
sad.
with big dicks love those contests, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I
Usually
know.
it's usually
Yeah, I
the
know.
guy with the biggest dick complaining that he's in a dick swinging contest.
Right? Everybody keeps on making me whip it out. Look what you made me do.
Right.
Right? You keep on asking to see it. It is like a little baby holding an apple. Right? You don't want to know that. It'll never feel sane again. Right? No. But the United States. Going everywhere showing its dick. That's fucking wrong. And George W. Bush being the dick holder, right? Mission accomplished. Look at his putts. Right? What was wrong with him? And you know what? Now he looks great. Like he looks like a fucking great man. George W. Bush. Because Trump makes everybody look good.
Right.
What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
The future was going to be great. I'm old enough that I remember the future, right? When I went in the 80s, Lexi, when in the 80s, we thought by the year 2000 would be flying cars.
Oh yeah.
Jetsons took place
Jetsons.
in the years 2003.
Yeah, exactly. 2000 Jetsons.
I'm
It's
like,
very-
what year is this?
right? Yeah.
Where's my flying
How
car
could it be going backwards?
we
Because
ba-
of Donald Trump.
we we barely got into self-driving cars, and one got into an accident the other day.
Is it true?
Oh, God, really?
Right. It's called rollback. That's called rollback. So what we have to notice is the United States, what it does, it drives its allies into a third world status. And the reason why I'm going down this road is because it's exactly how they're treating us. Right? If you look at what Perkins said about how we treat like third world countries, we drive them into debt. Now those same practices is how they treat our own citizens. Now how is it a credit card company has the right to charge you 30%?
They don't have when you sign the contract.
Yeah, it's a private
It says
contract.
30%. Yeah.
I hear you. You're right. It's a private
Right.
contract, but currency is an exception. Isn't currency again a commonly held item? It's something we hold together. It's
Yeah.
not privately held. It's common.
Right. There's no law against creating another currency, right? Like it's
There's
not
not.
illegal. We all wanted to start using Bitcoin. We
I
could
think
do
that's
that.
where I'm going with this. They can have their currency.
Yeah.
I want to
There's
see a
a free
DC.
market economy
I
for
want to see
currency.
cannabis currency, y'all. I think we should start bartering with cannabis. You got weed? How much better than currency? Boil it down.
Sharing.
Yeah, Sharon.
But-
Crypto. Who is the brother of Ethereum? Who came out the right? It's one of the pot coins, one of the bitcoins, right? I think all that stuff is brilliant. Right? That's where we got to go with this, right? And that way we save, put aside some of that money, and you put it towards a real cause, right? Like it goes to, instead of taxation, you put it towards education, right? That's what it is.
But this thing about doing
We're out when it's out.
oh, we're out.
Poor people are paying. Who's paying?
But the poor people are paying.
How far? How?
Who's paying? Well, the poor people
How?
are paying.
What are we
I
doing?
would
5
be
minute
very
segments?
cautious about giving rich people special
Okay.
benefits so their kids can go to school. Benefits of one kind or another to people of
What are we gonna?
income
We still gonna
level
talk about this when we come back, or?
dollars a year. But I think the median income in the United States is something like around
Okay.
30-some.
Because I was gonna talk about there's always been talk about doing away with
Who's paying? Well, the poor people.
going completely electronic
Very
money.
cautious about rich people. You know, the big investment firms are now distributing brochures to their rich customers, telling them, look, we've taken over the health system, we've taken over the criminal system, you know, we're right now taking over the welfare system. Here's a new way to enrich ourselves at public expense. The way we will do it is by setting up EMOs, Educational Management Organizations, which will do wonders for the educational system like HMOs do for healthcare. EMOs like HMOs for healthcare. Namely, they will be able to take more and more money away from the system and put it in private power, meanwhile shaping care so that it mostly benefits the rich, making sure that the really rich people get everything and harm everybody else. And now we can do it to the educational system, the last big government monopoly. It's not put this way, it's all put in terms of efficiency and what nice people we are, and we're going to make everything much better for everyone, like, because we're just benefactors and so on. But go through it, and that's what it is. I would be very cautious about making sure that the rich people get everything. Who's paying? Well, the poor people are paying. Who's paying? Well, the poor people are paying. Who's paying? Well, the poor people are paying.
Oh, Professor Chomsky. How does this fucker live to be 85? He's still alive. He just got married again, you know. You ever see him?
No.
Oh, God.
To what, some 30-something-year-old?
Yeah, he got married to
Yeah.
this 30-something-year-old
Yeah.
lady. Professor Chomsky, the guy's talking.
Yeah.
You could see him. He's so smart, and he's all smiling. The woman's like this. It's like,
I
honest
think-
God, like 85-year-old guys like takes so much Viagra, like Hugh Hefner's going deaf. Right?
I think he's actually sucking her blood, as what is
Must
happening.
be.
Yeah,
He's on the third wife. Well, that's how he stays young, but he's smart. He's right. He's right, right? Somehow there's a class war against the people, and somehow the elite are at war with the poor, and that means everybody. Somehow the middle class and the poor are pitted against each other, and the elite, they just laugh. Right, and I want to figure out now, how do we undo this without, because they're leading us down the path, and I don't see it get better. So let me ask you.
Well, first of all, you're going to have to, I think a lot of it has to do with people's impressions. If you got the mainstream media, if you own the mainstream media because you got all the money to own it,
Right.
and you're basically telling them only certain things, and you're not, people need to inform themselves.
That's what we're
Don't
gonna come
count
to.
on the news, man. You got to inform yourself. You got to research. You got to do all that for yourself.
People know that already, Gino. Let me ask you this, though. The Vegas shooter, MGM, as I understand it, controlled the entire in and out. And there were cops, now it's coming out, that the security guard was there, had called the cops. They were in the hallway after the shoot, while the shooting was going on, and MGM would not let the phone calls out to go back to the to the PD. Exactly. This is what's coming out. This is why Jesus Campo disappeared. Right. The power of a corporation to interfere even with the public Las Vegas Police Department inside their building. This is what's at issue. So this is not just theoretical now, right? Does MGM as a company who has now? How did they release the story? They put DeCampo on Ellen DeGeneres show, which they own.
Right.
They control the story from top bottom.
Right.
What was
so-
the story? What did he say? A couple of sentences?
Yeah. What did he say? Puff piece.
Yeah.
Right. Protect his pension.
There was no puff.
There's no puff.
No puff.
No. So what we have here is like a
Token appearance.
Yeah. So what happened there? Does anybody know?
No, somebody knows, but the public doesn't know. We know more about the guy who ran those people down in New York. We know more about the guy who shot the people in Texas.
Right.
It's been half as long since that happened. We know 10 times more about all that
Yeah.
than we know anything about Vegas.
Right. Why? What is the Vegas? Why not Vegas? Why can't we? Why is it now? What's the deal? This is obvious police malfeasance, and what we're getting to is that what I got of it. And Squire, you can come and tell us for real. I want to know because if you know, I want to know.
Well,
Right?
just
He's coming.
Remind everybody that The Simpsons predicted all of this.
Thank you, Miss
They
Lexi. That's so
predict
true.
everything, and they're always correct. The
They
Simpsons.
the
Start
Simpsons
watching
do
it.
tell us.
You're right.
Right? Come on first. Listen,
Simpsons.
the true source. Come on in, sir. Tell us.
Listen to the gunshots. Anybody that has any military training would tell you that a bump fire stock with 20 rounds is about this. That's it.
Right.
20 rounds is done, right?
Whereas basically,
Where's the continuous fire? That's belt fed. That's fully automatic belt fed. Now,
Belt
you're gonna
fed.
tell me that those pictures that you saw the guy dead, right? And they're gonna tell you that he ran from window to window, right? Belt fed. You've seen the footage from the taxi lady from the same angle, but two different echo points.
Yeah,
Meaning there
exactly.
was two different shooters.
yeah, and
Right?
it wasn't, and it
then
wasn't,
it's a
like, and it
fully
wasn't,
continuous.
and it wasn't that we were hearing the echo because you would hear one set of shots,
Yep,
and it would
then
take
was like
about 30 seconds before
and it was
you'd
a
hear
whole
the next
nother
set of
area
shots.
where they were shooting
Exactly.
from, right?
Right.
So you can just listen, like pay attention. The facts of what you were talking about here, 5 people own the media corporations in this country, and they control your message. So if they're controlling the message, just ask yourself this. Where's the footage of him carrying all those weapons into the He carried like all those weapons, and also footage. Go look at that video of him dead. How are shells on top of blood? If he shot all these shots and then he killed himself, then the shells that are laying on the ground, the blood would be actually covered in those shells, right? Not the shells sitting on top of the blood.
Right.
Check it. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not going to tell you anything, no lie. But one thing about this is we talk about the plant, right? Right. How many people have died because of non-access to the plant that the government knows would have helped, and think that your government won't kill you?
Exactly.
Don't drop the mic, because then we have to buy another one. But that's good. That's the truth, right? The genocide of keeping cannabis from the people, keeping the true physicians suppressed, right? Yeah, exactly. The government is in the business of covering its own tracks. The only thing that makes sense to me about the shooter is that you have malfeasance of the different law enforcement security. This is not a major, I don't believe, no, I may be wrong. I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy of dunces. And the illusion that, now this is where it gets real simple, and I think this is where if we can just take 1 second, the illusion is that we have to believe that law enforcement's omnipotent. They need to make us believe they've got it all handled and we're all being watched at all times, right? That's why there's no footage, because they fucked up, right? They're stupid, and they don't want us to know how stupid they are. That's what's really going on. They're paying somebody minimum wage, and they can't figure out really how it works. I heard the dispatch. They know that there was more than one shooter, right? But they can't release it because that mixed message makes them look like Keystone Cops. FBI was in the building. He had 20 reservations.
But they also changed. I mean, how many times did the original story change? It changed.
That's how you know they're milking us, right? I knew they were milking us day one when you heard this. He has no motivation. He has no motive. The fucker was a bank robber. He's running from his life. He's got a room full of explosives. He's got a room full of fucking automatic weapons. He has no motive, right? No. That was the first lie. When you know you got one lie in the first mix, forget it. They were setting us up from the beginning. And the Campo disappears in the press conference. Now, I'm asking, where's the journalism in this country to figure out what the fuck happened? I'm a fucking chiropractor. Why? And Scrog over here is a brilliant master grower, strain hunter. How the hell are we on the cutting edge of what's figuring out? Right? Over here, my friend Nikki over there. That's how you turn people into automata.
Separate them from one another, drive any human instinct out of their heads, make them see themselves as nothing in life except adding to my useless commodities. And I don't care about anybody else because you're not supposed to care. If you can get to that point, then you really have people under control. You don't need security forces. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of privilege and freedom, just incomparable. There's nothing in the world like it. The question is, do we want to use it? I mean, they can act to a certain extent. They cannot counteract organized, active public opinion. You can't even do that in a dictatorship. That's almost impossible in a more free society. That's why there's so much propaganda, to try to prevent people from using the power that they have, either by marginalizing them or isolating them or making them passive consumers or making them feel hopeless or whatever. A huge amount of effort goes into that. Probably $1 trillion a year goes into marketing, which is mostly just attitude control. Try to make people passive consumers who don't do anything. But they don't have to agree to that. You can change it. First of all, it's all reversible. I mean, the means of controlling people by violence have mostly disappeared in countries like the United States. In fact, if you look at the history of propaganda, it was developing precisely out of a very conscious understanding on the part of privileged sectors, elites, that they were losing the capacity to control the population by force. Just people had won too much freedom. They wouldn't submit to force, couldn't do it. So therefore you had to control attitudes and opinions. And the way you do that is in part by indoctrination in the school system and the news and that sort of thing. But in large part, the way of controlling opinions and attitudes was understood right away to be inducing hopelessness, making people feel helpless, and isolated, separate from one another, make sure they don't interact. Unlike the ideal society would be based on dyad, you and the two, but no further interaction among people, because that's danger. And a lot of what's been going on over the last century, and is going on right at this moment, is about that, because it is understood that things like Medicare, Social Security, schools, other such things are based on an unacceptable principle that has to be driven out of people's minds. It's the principle that you're supposed to care about somebody else, okay? That you're supposed to care as a member of a democratic community. You're supposed to care whether the widow on the other side of town starves. And you've got to drive that out of people's heads, because if people have those ideas, they might act on them. And if they act on them, they're going to dismantle the whole system of domination and control. So those ideas have to be driven out of people's heads. They have to be made to believe that their entire worth depends on their own consumption of useless commodities. I mean, that's the way you turn people into automata. You control them, you separate them from one another, drive any human instinct out of their heads, make them see themselves as nothing in life except adding to my useless commodities. And I don't care about anybody else, because you're not supposed to care. If you can get to that point, then you really have people under control. You don't need security forces. And that has been a major effort for the past century. It's more and more sophisticated, more and more money goes into it all the time. Those are techniques of control, but you don't have to submit to them. They're very fragile systems. I mean, if people are unwilling to submit to them, they just go away. It's not like the security forces in a totalitarian state who don't go away. They go away. They persist only because people subordinate themselves to them, which means that there's a lot of opportunity and hope for change, but all reversible.
Well, the DC cannabis community absolutely has it hooked up, right? One thing you can say about cannabis, it is a truth serum. You cannot endure a lie, right? You can smell it. Cannabis has a something, right? When you have it in your system, you can tell your own lies, and when you see it in someone else, they can't lie either. How the hell did this end up like this, right? The United States used to be a great idea, but now it looks like we're running a gang war, and the people. We were just talking about the group thing, right? Now, I think that's actually honest, right? You were talking before about greed, Lexi, right? Right, now, we got to get deep for a minute. Cannabis is the antidote to the evil group thing. Let's just start off right there. That's where we got to go. I don't know how we get there, but that's the answer. What we have is some evil group thing, period. And I just want to say, do you think are there enough downsides right now with the cannabis, as far as we know, Frank? You think that we should hold off? It's like, no. We need some time to study it. For real. No. Who needs to study this anymore? For real. I'm asking. Like tomorrow.
Do we need apples? I mean, do we need to study apples?
Do we need to study it?
Apples.
Right. Should be legal as tomatoes. Should anybody be able to go into your house and figure out how much you're growing? No. Okay. Let me ask you this. Let me ask Gino this.
Yeah.
Okay. You got your weedos, the people who like the weed, these kids, right?
Right.
Okay. Do they have gun rights?
Do they have gun rights?
Do they have gun rights? Does a medical marijuana patient have a right to have a gun in the house?
I don't think so, right? No,
they
not
don't.
most
States. No, they do not. And I really want to get that. How legal is it then? Right. Oh, come on now. Hey!
Yeah, you do. You lose.
DOD, dabbed out dubs. The one thing that people need to know, about when you become a medicinal marijuana patient, as soon as you sign your ID, you sign your to give your rights away to own a gun, because they feel as though that you're not going to be responsible with a gun while you are medicated, which is bullshit because I know it's about gun control, and at the end of the day, they want to take guns away from us so we won't protect ourselves.
But somebody on OxyContin, they don't get the gun taken away from them.
Nah, they fucking don't.
No.
That's the crazy part about it.
That's the government's drugs, man. You're all right if you're on the government's drugs.
Yeah, but if you're on the real medication, then you can't have a right to own a gun.
But didn't they change it so that somebody who might have a mental health issue could still have a gun now?
Yes, they want to change it.
Yeah, they want to change that.
So me smoking marijuana and I might be a little bit buzzed. Me smoking marijuana, I might be a little bit buzzed, is worse than somebody who's completely
That's what they say.
mentally, psychotically done and might kill his whole family.
Yeah, and the reason why is because cannabis is a level 1 drug. Same level as heroin. But at the same token, Percocets is on level 2.
Right. Which means it can be regulated and make money for somebody.
The hell are they doing out here? Fuck the government.
Hey, thank you.
Oh,
spoken like a gentleman.
This might not be a concept that is welcome in DC, but I'm from Baltimore, so my simple answer to that is I will retain my gun rights and buy my weed from a drug dealer, like the rest of America.
Like the good old-fashioned way, damn it. Like an American, I will break the law.
Yeah.
Right, where else, right? Now, this is where you got to admit. Where else but in America is the speed limit sort of a standard of progress, right? If it says 55 and you're not going 55, you feel bad. You got to go 60, right? There's something about that, right? There's an outlaw nation mentality here. You have a heavy foot, right? And you see the yellow light, you want to speed up.
It's just a simple risk analysis. Like I'd rather have a legal gun and get caught with some weed and cop a misdemeanor than have some legal weed and get caught with an illegal gun and cop a felony.
Wow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what. Right. Ruin your whole life for your rights. Now we want to talk about weed as legal as tomatoes, legal as apples. I like that even better. Right. Apple. American is apple pie.
But you can't. You won't get in trouble for feeding your 8-year-old a shitload of apples. I do not agree with you having your 8-year-old smoke a shitload of weed or feeding her a shitload
Right,
of
you know,
of
that's interesting
edibles.
about kids. Now, kids is a whole thing, right? How is it that we talk about kids for a second? All right, if kids have the right to be free from harm, which they do, and we should really, really enforce that right. Kids need to have the right to be free from harm, right? If they're with parents that can't take care of them, they need to be with people who can take care of them. Kids need to be taken care of. They have rights. I don't know about assholes, and I don't know about grown-ups, but kids, all right, they're innocents, right? A kid in the house can be taken away, right? If you are a medical patient, right? Your kids can be seized. They have to pass separate laws that let you keep your kid and keep your medicine, right? So when we talk about
talking
legal,
about medical patients,
patients, yeah,
in the sense of medical marijuana or medical
marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
Yeah,
Okay.
Shona Banda is really the case. Her kid went to school in Kansas. The kid was at a DARE program, 10-year-old. The cops were saying, "Oh no, there's weed, double weed." First of all, the cops go in and you know what they do? They light some shit that smells like weed, and they go, "Okay, which one of you kids smell this in your mom and dad's bedroom? Where's your hands?" All right, right, yeah. And then the kids go like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That's like their incense, right? That's mom and dad's Kama Sutra oil." All right, so then let me talk to you later at the principal, right? And they say, "You know that devil weed is bad, the devil lettuce." And the kids go, no, this is my mom's medicine. It really helps her with all her IBS. She really is this, and the cops kidnapped the kid that day, right?
There's an epidemic in middle America of taking children away from families. I don't know what it is. Same thing in Oklahoma.
We think this is the role somehow. Okay, it goes back to the group thing. Unless we actively create a positive groupthink, the default jungle laws take over, right? Just watch fucking Mad Max. Human beings need a proactive state, and this is what the physician for the people is actually supposed to be doing. The doctors, right? The leadership, right? That's why I'm here with y'all, right? Because I can see smart people. I mean, it's not difficult, right, to figure out what's real. In the cannabis community, we have been through so much. Actually, we know what's real. We've had to be outlaws for the last 20 years. I have had to be. Right? If I didn't have cannabis, my life would have stopped. I don't know if I'd be here today. And I'm not saying mentally, I'm saying physically. right?
Remember the article I sent you today where nobody has died from marijuana? Zero. There have been about 30,000 people that have died from taking prescription medication, and about another 40,000 from drinking. And that's not even counting the drunk driving accidents.
I used to own a bar, right? Never will again, right? Crazy people. My dad had a bar when I was a kid, but it was a cop bar. It was weird because then the mayor was there. It's like good drinking people, right? The bar I had, the one I inherited, this bar was next to the prison. People were getting stomped every day. I could not get rid of it. Oh my God. I would
much rather go to that prison bar than that cop bar.
Well, my karaoke did kick ass. That's true, right? I used to put porn on the ceiling. It was a good time. I didn't say it wasn't a good time. Right, my bar was a good bar, but it was a tough bar. People really, serious, people fucking die, and I couldn't sell it quick enough. But that doesn't happen with cannabis, right? Cannabis somehow is almost a religious experience. The problem with cannabis is that you look at it as a risk analysis, is it combines the risk of alcohol. In New Zealand, when they look at the people, they did a 30-year retrospective study on cannabis and in public health risk. Cannabis by itself does not impair driving at all. None.
I think I focus more.
Bingo, like that. But cannabis multiplies the impairment of alcohol. That's the finding. So then the alcohol people are like, fuck this shit. This makes us look bad, right? And that's where we are with that. So now we got businesses involved with keeping the natural medicine down, right? NASCAR, NFL, right? And these are our natural enemies. Cannabis needs to boycott the NFL, right? That's where we're going with this. You know the buying power of the cannabis community if you put it together?
I think the cannabis community, if they did legalize it, would completely take over almost everything else.
Right.
Just in 1 year.
Yeah, in about a year. You know, and here's the truth. We don't have to legalize it for the people to act that way.
Yeah.
Right? We know who we are. Right? And that's how, exactly. Right? And DC, we can talk about it openly. That's why they got something. That's why there's something here. That's why we can actually be the little nucleus. This is the nation's capital for a reason.
But Big Pharma's not going to go down without a fight, though. That's a problem.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
They need to join.
Here's the good news, because I am that doctor, and I'll tell you what. They got nothing else. They're dying. For real. They will die, and the young generation will thrive. The cannabis community will thrive, and these fuckers will die. And there really is. That's the way it is. It's a generational turning. There's no hope for them. Stick a fork in them, they're done. It's the people here. It's because we're on the campus of Howard University. Only young people have the ability to sustain a social revolution, and that's why we're in college campus.
You think if we give out free OxyContin, then they'll die quicker?
Right? Yeah, your people thinking that. That's why they subsidize the drugs, and it's why. Yeah. Speaking of that, does anybody want any of the genetics we brought today? We've got Death Star, we got Cheese Bomb. Yeah, we brought genetics for the people. We want to make sure we share these. You know, this song when it came on, I wanted to put it out there. This is the moment in the show. There's a magic about cannabis. It reveals the divine self. Everybody who's been along for the ride so far in this conversation, I'm talking to you. You, take a second. If you got a puff it. If you got a high memory, go there. And say the syllable Om, just a sound. I'm going to say it too, so you know what I mean. I'm serious. I know it sounds goofy, but do it. Move every fucking part of your connective tissue with a sound. Do it, Frank. Lexi, you don't have to do it because I know you might hate me, right? So this time you get a pass. These fuckers must. Right? I'm driving them home.
Do it.
They must. You can just look at us. Make a sound. It can be like Hugh. It can be like oh.
My problem is I'm going to end up going oh.
My friend over there, he goes hey.
Oh.
Right? It's an aspirational promise. Right? That you're going to get there someday. Right? I'm going to make the noise again. I know you're laughing. Here it goes. And if you don't do it, it's okay. Right? That's why it's supposed to be sort of fucking funny. All right? Right? Yeah. You're supposed to make two tones with each throat. I learned it from the llama.
I guess let's do it.
All right. Okay. All right. Here. Think about it. Right? Deep down inside.
I have been discussing some of the means of the
Perfect.
and the reasons why these measures gain such prominence in democratic systems in which the general population cannot be driven from the political arena by force. The discussion may leave the impression that the system is all-powerful, but that is very far from true.
People have significant capacities to resist, and sometimes do, with great effect.
Fact is that to an extraordinary extent, by comparative standards, the United States is a business-run society, which means that human rights are subordinated to the overwhelming, overriding need of profit for investors. Decisions are placed in the hands of unaccountable private tyrannies, which means that even if formal democratic practices exist as they do, they're of peripheral significance. The government, in fact, is, as John Dewey called it 50 or 60 years ago, the shadow cast by business over society, so that modifications in the shadow are not going to change the substance. These were truisms throughout most of American history, including American working class history, until quite recently, until the 1950s, in fact. And it also means that social policy is geared to the transfer of wealth and power to those who already have it, and deliberately so. Now, in more democratic societies, by that I mean societies where democratic forms function more, there are countervailing forces that enable the public to enter the arena of policy and decision. That's only true to a very limited extent, a remarkably limited extent in the United States, despite quite impressive democratic forms.
I have been discussing some of the means of thought control and the reasons why these measures gain such prominence in democratic systems in which the general population cannot be driven from the political arena by force. The discussion may leave the impression that the system is all-powerful, but that is very far from true. People have significant capacities to resist, and sometimes do, with great effect.
Cannabis is the medicine of the future, and it's here now. It is legal in D.C. I want you to come on down to D.C. I want you to come to the show. I do. I want you to tell us about what it's done for you. If we take the covers off, you can discover the cannabis community are the healers. The cannabis community already are the leaders, the shaman who cut through prohibition to find their healing in a plant. I can't tell you what cannabis has done for me, what's changed my life. I can't even tell you how it's changed my patients' lives. People who suffer from cancer, fibromyalgia, the PTSD that it's taking on. There's nothing like it, and it's natural, and it's a medicine that people deserve. What I'm really calling out for is to invite you on through Skype, through FaceTime, through live if you're in DC. Our show is on from 8 to 9, WLVS, and we invite the cannabis community to come together and share, and in that sharing there's empowerment. Your story is your power. We want to amplify your power. We want your power here with us. And we put it together, we got a power station. I mean crazy power. Not even funny. Kind of power that changes the world. And if you want to be that change, get high and share. All right, that's about what I want to say. Miss Lexi, anything you want us to go out with?
Just keep in mind that the plant is so powerful that you literally use it from root to the very top of the stem. You lose the entire plant. The entire plant could change your entire life for a good reason, too.
Word.
Excellent.
Frank?
I want to say next time you hear hashtag not all Muslims, think to yourself, hashtag not all gun owners.
Amen to that.
Hashtag not all gun owners.
Anshallah. Blessings be upon him.
Remember, always look out for number one, but don't step on number two.
And with that, Physician for the People bids you fondue. All right, we'll see you next week. We love you all. Bless it all is well, and get high a lot. Out.